shall we?
Go ahead, man. I'm leaving it to you. I always do it first, and I know people are annoyed to hear my voice first.
Well, that's not going to stop you from chiming in this whole time.
That's true. I'm just going to sit here silently and just sit here and go,
Welcome to the No Budget Filmmaking Podcast, presented by Cinema Summit, a podcast about the art of making films, no matter how small the budget. And now, here are your hosts, Alex Darke and Trevor L. Nelson.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. This is episode 23 of the No Budget Filmmaking Podcast. I'm Alex Darke.
And I am Trevor L. Nelson. And today we are going to be talking about what no budget films really cost. Surprise! A lot.
Yeah.
JK. But first, Alex, what are we drinking? Let's surprise them. What are we drinking?
We're drinking something new-ish. I mean, we've had it before.
New, not to us.
It's not.
It's not like we're drinking for the first time.
We've created some, we've taken some mixology courses or anything. I'm having a vodka soda that Trevor made for me.
Yeah. You know what? I stopped and got some non-Freon ice, which is Alex's favorite kind of ice.
I love non-Freon ice. I hate Freon ice.
And figured, you know what? It's time to make go back to the vodka sodies. You know, Alex, it was so hot in here in the summer. I feel we missed the opportunity. We have a snow cone machine, and we did not make boozy snow cones during one of the podcasts this summer.
I know. I think that's because it was so hot that it would have, by the time it like touched our lips,
sugar.
It would have just been like sugar drink.
Sugar drink, which is most cocktails anyway. But it also probably would have been, if it didn't melt, it'd be crunchy and it'd be not good audio-wise.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of audio-wise, if you can hear in the background. Yeah, that's our special guest. My dog Hunter is here with us today.
He's a special dog. That's why he's a special guest.
Whew, in so many ways. So many ways. But he's joining us today. If you hear me yelling or running away or talking from a far distance, it's probably because he got into something or he did something dumb, and I have to go chase after him.
Yeah.
But
it'll happen.
It's bound to happen, especially if we were talking on this thing for an hour. He's good for one mistake every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So what else is new with us?
The podcast is now on iHeartRadio.
Fantastic.
Hot lava.
And speaking of, we have over 3,000 downloads. And, you know, only episode 23, so I'll take that.
Not bad.
I mean, we're not in any quitting our day job kind of territory, but...
No.
Hey, take what we can get, right? Take what we can get. But we're happy. Thank you for all of our fans. And speaking of fans...
Yeah.
Shout out to listeners in the UK and Sweden.
Man, we got some foreign listeners. They make up a whopping 7% of our listeners, which is
actually surprising.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Our analytics, and we're say that we have, not surprising, 75% of our listeners from the US, 4% from the UK, 3% from Sweden, 2% from Canada.
Yeah,
hey.
Canada.
Hey.
What's that about?
Oh, man. So many things it's about. And, well, I'm if you guys don't know, I'm originally from Little Canada, also known as Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And then also surprising 2% from the Philippines.
Yeah. 37
downloads from the Philippines.
Right.
That's...
People don't know this, but I'm from the Little Philippines, also known as Las Vegas.
And there go all of our listeners in the Philippines. Thanks, guys, for sticking around for all these episodes, and now you are completely understandable that you don't want to listen to us anymore.
What I like is that there's a huge percentage of just other, like...
That is a huge percentage.
What are they doing to mask their identities? Maybe they're all on like VPNs and just hopping around like hackers.
14% are others.
Yeah.
Where are you guys?
Where is other?
Interesting.
That sounds like something Larry would say.
That is actually something that Larry would say.
Larry, there's 14% from other countries. Huh? Where is other?
I got a great joke about other from Don Rickles. Okay, Larry. Let's. We're in the middle of an interview, Larry. Let's keep it going. So yeah, I mean that's about it. What's new with us? Not too much. We've been working on the project we were talking about. Things are changing a little bit.
A bunch of projects.
Yeah.
None of which we can talk about.
No. We already talked about a little one last week. I'm sure we got flagged by a bunch of people that figured it was spammy now, so now it's just like, How much we talk. And we'll just let
got flagged by the NSA probably.
I'm sure. For a lot of other reasons other than talking about our projects coming up. But yeah, we got some stuff coming up as always. We'll keep you posted. But most importantly, what's new is our love for our podcast fans. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much. So on to the main topic, Alex. Let's talk about what we last week we kind of talked about. We've talked in the last couple of weeks about how to make a living as a filmmaker, and then the week before that is like what our philosophy on no budget filmmaking is.
Sure.
So let's go in the same realm and talk about what do no budget films really cost. Now, you could talk about no budget films that cost you nothing because you use your camera and all that, but we're talking about I would say to qualify this would be a no budget film that you feel is going to be good enough that you can distribute.
Yeah.
Something like, what do you think?
And I think a lot of,
it's hard.
It's hard because a lot of people sort of skew the numbers, like you just said. They call it a no budget if they use their own stuff, but I mean, that stuff costs money to get. So how does that factor into it?
And some people also say no budget just because it's the kind of the hot thing now.
Yeah. And really no budget falls under like, you could have a no budget film for like $75,000.
That's true. I mean, that is compared to normal budgets. I would say normal, but compared to mainstream budgets, that's no budget at all.
Yeah,
especially when you consider all the costs that you have to pay for. I'm gonna just tighten my microphone stand real quick here. So you keep talking. I got my little trusty.
Got your little tool out.
Got my tool out.
I'll just talk over your distortion as you.
You should anyway.
Hit your mic.
Yep, you should anyway. I've got nothing important to say. All right, I think I'm good. Go ahead.
Nice.
All right.
So I think when people think about making a film, especially like a no budget film, you're trying to use as many resources as you have. So I feel like one of the biggest costs that people think about is equipment.
Yeah. Especially if they have a specific look they're going for or specific wants and desires in terms of, I need to be 4K, I want to edit it this, I want to, blah, blah, blah.
I want to shoot raw.
I want to shoot raw, I want to shoot at night, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I feel that there is like this. I think one of the biggest expenses is renting versus owning your equipment. I mean, that is like the crux of a lot of the stuff. So,
like, which way do you go? I think it would depend.
I mean, again, for those people who know us, we are gear junkies and we tend to buy our stuff at pretty cheap prices because we know how to do it.
Yeah.
And we did that. We went that route kind of because we didn't want to have to rent. We wanted to be able to have enough equipment to shoot whatever we wanted, wherever we wanted, at any budget.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't think about, if you're in LA or if you're in like Chicago or any of these places that actually have equipment rental places, like you need real production insurance in order to be able to rent. Like you can't just go and say, I want this for $150 a day and walk out of there with the thing without having real production insurance that covers like $1 million worth of equipment or whatever.
And also because me and Alex were working other jobs and, our schedules weren't so as free as they are now. We also wanted to, rental houses are the 9 to, how late would you say the latest one you've seen open is?
I don't even know because you usually do the pickups kind of earlier.
Yeah. And so when we do no budget filmmaking, we don't have a big crew. So we were the ones doing the pickups. And if we're shooting on the weekends and we have work during the week, there wasn't much time to go to the rental houses. So we wanted to be able to shoot on a weekend without having to worry about renting and scheduling that up and asking a friend for a favor to go pick up stuff from a rental house that we needed insurance to use. And so we just went to the road of, you know what? Let us get as much equipment as we can so we can shoot whatever we want, whenever we want.
Yeah. And so that in itself, if you're buying retail, I mean, you're going to pay us, it's going to be way more expensive, obviously, than renting.
Yep.
But if you're smart about it, you could theoretically get the same amount of equipment for the cost of renting, but then you get to keep it and use it on your next projects. Which also plays into the idea that, if you're spreading out the cost over multiple projects, how do you factor that into the budget? You know what I mean? Because if you bought $10,000 worth of equipment and you use it on 2 movies, is that $5,000 worth of equipment on each movie?
It's hard to say. I mean, I guess, it's all arbitrary, I guess, in the world of no-budget filmmaking. Because if you're doing no-budget filmmaking, you don't really have to justify a budget to many people. I think that comes into play. Except yourself. And
your credit card statement.
Yeah. I have. So you don't really have to say, hey, this is $5,000 worth of equipment. But I do think it does help to make, if somebody does ask what your budget was for the movie, you could tell them, you know what? I spent $10,000 on all this equipment. I've used it 3 times. So this was only $3,333.333333333 worth of equipment for my 3 projects. But at the same time, also, you can use that equipment if you own it to rent. You can rent it out now with things like Kit Split and ShareGrid. Yeah. So it kind of like, we are of the mindset that own as much as you can within reason. We have not done the of reason part within reason. We've gone a little overboard, but in the sense of normal people, own the stuff, own it. And then you can, if you need to get specific things, you can rent it and it's not that big of a hit to your budget.
Yeah. And I think it's something to consider, even if you're not ready to make a movie or like you're not trying to make your movie or whatever. I think it's something to consider because of different gigs that you might get, depending on what path you're trying to take and profession like area you're trying to get into. Yeah. But we're dealing with something right now where we had to pass on a project to shoot a project. Someone else picked it up, but they didn't have any equipment, so they were sent our way to rent equipment from us. Yeah, but that equipment rental is coming out of what they would make, their day rate, that person's day rate. So it's like, how many times do you have to do that before you realize, oh, I should just buy my own equipment because it'll offset the cost, and eventually I will have paid it off and I'll make more money.
I don't want to tell people to go the route of credit cards, but sometimes it's worth it. Especially if you feel that you have a lot of projects coming up that like soon, you're going to be getting all these projects that will easily pay it off, then, take a credit card and do it. We know a friend of ours got an Arri Alexa on credit card, and he's renting out enough, not as much as I think he would like, because for some reason Arri Alexas are really...
it's an Amira, to be fair.
Oh, is it Amira? Okay, I thought it was Alexa, okay.
Which is still, a great camera, but it's definitely more like, I don't know why, it's pretty much the same camera, but they gear it towards documentary filmmakers and stuff.
I don't think he's getting as many rentals as he was hoping, but he's still getting rentals where he can pay the bills.
Yeah, I think he's already paid off not most of it, but like a big chunk of it, which is nice.
Yeah. And so that's our thing, is if you're getting into the no-budget filmmaking, you want to make a career out of filmmaking, own some equipment. It doesn't have to be top of the line. It doesn't have to be the newest equipment. Just, especially if you can use it a lot and get to know the quirks of it and use it to the best of its ability, then own it. Buy some used gear.
For sure. I mean, when I first started out freelancing and stuff, I had a Canon 7D.
Yep.
And I used that for many, many years, even after, the Reds came out and they were like the hot new thing. And, there were all sorts of other cameras like the Canon C 500 that came out, or all these other things. And I was still using the old 7D, and I would still get gigs from it. I mean, I don't think there's this pressure out there to get the latest and greatest stuff because you see it all the time. You're like, oh man, this one shoots 422. This other one shoots 420.
Except when
that's a big deal. It's like, well, it's not really that big of a deal.
Except when a new Canon comes out, and what was it shooting 220? What was that one that just? Which one? Remember the Canon released a camera like?
No, that was 420. I think it was 420. I forget what camera it was.
It was like their new announcement. It was like, wait a second, 420.
I know everyone freaked out about that, which I understand. If you're buying a new camera, you don't want that. But if you're buying a used camera and it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
like, tell me who's going to check the specs on your camera.
And to jump onto that, Alex shot something for Larry at a theater downtown and used a 5D.
I did.
And keep in mind, the cameras that we have at Aura at Larry are not the best.
No.
But they looked at the footage that Alex shot with his little handheld 5D, and they were like,
blown away.
This is great. This is amazing.
Again, that was kind of at the, not the beginning. I mean, it was pretty far into the DSLR thing, but going from broadcast stuff or like a look to this like hyper depth of field stuff. Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's crazy."
Yeah. Okay, so man, we could talk about equipment forever.
Rant over. Okay.
All right, so you got the money that you spend on either renting or owning. If you get the right equipment and you find the right deals, owning will be better in the long run than renting.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind that like you're looking at, we're working on a project. We put together like a 4-week shoot with a decent grip package and 2-ton grip package, camera, lens, sound equipment is going to cost you $18,000.
Yeah.
And see,
just on equipment.
Just on equipment. Weeks. And so you don't get in this idea that if it's a no budget film that you're going to be spending $5,000 if you have no equipment and you want it to be distributable. It just can't happen.
It's going to be really hard.
Yeah. Again,
it's possible. I mean, you can also go the route of like, I'm going to borrow equipment from my friends that have it.
That's another way to go. But there's so many other things that stack up with, I'm just going to bring this up. I just looked it up right now. Tangerine, everyone's little sweetheart of, hey, look what the iPhone can do.
Yeah.
Budget was still $100,000. And that's with like the biggest equipment is iPhone. Like the camera is an iPhone, $100,000.
Totally. I mean, same with Unsane. I mean, it's hard to compare because of the talent and the director.
Yeah, talent, director, and all that. But yeah, I mean
that was over. That was what? I forget the budget on that, but it was over $1 million. It's like 1.5.
1.5. You're right. Look at you.
Look at
you. You're just like an almanac. So equipment is going to take a big chunk. Even if you're no budget, there's a lot of things that play into how much you have to spend to do a film. A film that was shot on an iPhone still costs $100,000, and that's definitely low budget.
Yeah, and a no budget, micro budget, whatever you want to call it, film that Trevor and I did.
Yeah.
We shot on the 5D, and
the budget was, I don't know if we're actually.
Yeah, I don't know if we can say, but it was. Let's say it was over 50,000.
Yep, over 50,000 with a free. And this will bring us to our next one with a free location,
free equipment, because
and free work, free people working on it.
Yeah, because I donated equipment. Trevor donated equipment. The DP donated equipment. I think, yeah. I don't know if we rent any. Yeah, we did. We did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're right.
Okay, so that brings us to the other thing we talked about. The film that we produced and worked on and did a lot of things on. Locations.
Locations. Yeah.
If you no budget. The best case scenario is you get everything for free. You get people that donate equipment. You get locations that are free because your friends own them or your family owns them. That's awesome. But in the real world,
even if you get a free location, you still would need a permit for it.
Yep, need a permit. So I mean, locations can be expensive. Even if there's a list for California where it has all these places that are like state parks, state-owned properties that are free to shoot, but you still need permits. And depending on where it is, you need to hire a police officer. You need to hire
a water truck,
or a firefighter truck, just to make sure. We shot a film at the Vasquez Rocks. Look it up, do a little Googling. Jiggle the Googles.
Yep.
And
Star Trek a billion times.
You'll notice
it's like all the sci-fi rocky
you'll notice the rocks.
Things.
It's in like Galaxy Quest and all that. Free to shoot there because it's a state park.
Yeah.
But because it's a state park and California is known to burn, you had to have a water truck.
You had to have a monitor.
Well, you also had to have outhouse, like porta potties.
Yeah. And by monitor, I don't mean like a video monitor. I'm talking about like a state-appointed person.
To make sure you're not screwing up the nature.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. I think we had to have 2 nurses just because it was so vast. Like
something like that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, if you're getting off-duty police officers, that you're looking at like $75 an hour. Monitors, you're looking at like $50 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it stacks up for sure.
It stacks up. So nothing, even if you get something for free, unless you're going... Now, when we shot our low-budget, when we produced our low-budget film, it was the director-writer's girlfriend, who's now his wife. It was her family's cabin. So we technically didn't need... We should have but we didn't have any like security. We didn't have a monitor.
No,
we didn't have fire. We even got the security for the compound.
We just snuck around and shot it. Stole the location basically. But the interesting thing was we went into it with the idea that it's a cabin. We'll stay there.
Yep.
And we'll shoot there. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
And we figured that out real fast and had to rent a second cabin. So even that was not really free.
Exactly. So whatever you think is something that's going to be free, there's always prices associated with on the back end that you don't take into consideration.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at so $18,000 in equipment. If you don't own it, locations. I mean, all those monitors. Say you're doing a 4-week shoot in multiple locations. I'd say maybe a good $5,000.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention the idea of if you have to pay for a location.
Oh my gosh!
For one of the films we did, we needed a place that looked like the White House.
Yeah.
And we ended up renting this mansion. And it cost, I believe, $3,000 a day.
We did it for a day.
We did it for a day, and then we also needed to get the permits and then do the whole notifying people that were shooting within the radius and all that kind of stuff.
And now it's all boarded up and for sale. And if anybody wants to go in on it with me for $1.5 million,
something like that.
Just if you guys can put up $1.499,800. So $1,499,800. I can put in the $200. We'll be even 50-50 partners.
Yeah.
You just have to call me if you want to stay there.
That just sounds fair.
Yeah. That's why I'm a master negotiator and a master debater.
Yep, you are a master debater.
So now, so let's say we add $5,000 under locations because you're able to sneak some stuff around. You get it all for free, but you still have to pay for permits and all that stuff. So now you're up to $23,000.
Sure.
Yeah. And now the biggest thing. Crafting meals. This is so important.
Super
important because no matter what you ask of people, if they like you, if they're friends of yours, if they believe in your project, if you don't pay them in food, they will revolt.
Yeah.
They will absolutely
revolt. And they will say that you're revolting for not giving them.
I knew that was coming.
It happened. It happened.
I knew that was coming.
So when it comes to meals and stuff, usually what you want to do is budget a certain amount per head per day. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the way to go. And you have to decide if you're paying for lunch and dinner, if you're just paying for lunch and then wrapping in time for dinner, all these types of things.
There's rules for it.
There are rules for it.
Union rules and mother effing laws.
Yeah, laws.
But if you're asking people to do it for free, feed them as much as you can. I will say err on too much food because it will make people much happier and being okay. I'm okay working a 12-hour day for free if I get 3 meals and I can go over there and grab some red vines.
Sure.
Oh man, people who aren't in California, if you don't know what red vines are,
is that a California thing? What are you talking
I don't know.
about?
I think it's a West Coast thing. Did you have
Twizzlers?
red vines? No, they're not. Red vines and Twizzlers are not the same
They're
thing.
identical.
Get the hell out of here. No, they're not.
They're basically the same thing.
No, red vines are much chewier.
They come in a bucket, and that's it. They're Twizzlers that come in a bucket.
You got me. Damn. But yeah, so.
But the thing about it, I think the way to go, if you're budgeting for a film, you want to find certain places out here. The thing that always happens if you're on a low budget film, you will have at least one, probably most days, catered by El Pollo Loco. So that means they're probably pretty cheap.
Yeah. Here's the problem with that though. When we were doing the short where we rented the White House looking building.
Yeah.
The producers got a deal with a local restaurant to cater the whole thing for a set amount.
Yep.
And that was 2 meals a day. Mm-hmm. Here's how important food is. These people were getting 2 hot meals a day. It wasn't like salad and all that. It was one day was...
Yeah, gross salad. Ew.
Stupid salad. I just eat sticks of butter. That's why I'm fat. But it was they had patty melts one day. They had, spaghetti one day. It was hot food that one of the producers would go up every day and pick it up, and it was good. The last 3-4 days of shooting, they had repeats. So it was like the stuff that we had at the beginning of the shoot, they would make it again because they ran out of menu items.
Yeah.
And people were complaining.
Sure. Flipped out.
It flipped out. It's like, why are we having this again? It's like, oh God, we have muffins from Costco over on the table. It's like people flipped out.
The same exact muffins every day.
Friends of the writer-director flipped out because they were getting duplicate meals.
Yeah.
So
right.
food is important.
And speaking of, on another film, similar thing happened where tight budget, like, okay, the producers on these, mind you, us, didn't have any real say in what we were handed a budget and had to fulfill everything within this budget.
Yep.
So on this other film, similar thing happened. People were like, we want other food besides the stuff that we're having every day.
Yeah.
So we, made special trips. Like we would go get Thai food one day and like Mediterranean another day and all this kind of stuff because people wanted variety. But even then, there was an incident that I will never forget.
Oh man,
where
please tell.
The crew, again, revolted basically because at the beginning of the day, we would stick a bunch of sodas and waters and stuff in a cooler. By the end of the day, the ice would melt. And they,
what?
Yeah.
This production wasn't able to stop the laws of physics?
It wasn't.
And chemistry?
It wasn't, but
how dare they?
They expected, they wanted us to, in the middle of the day, while we're, doing countless things, wearing a dozen hats, doing a dozen jobs, wanted us to go out and buy new ice and put it in. So
these are the little things you deal with a no-budget production.
These are the little things, but also it just goes to show you how much people care about this stuff.
Yeah.
So like if you supply them with good food and cold drinks, they will be much happier, and so will you, because you won't have to deal with their complaining.
And we, for the feature that we produced, we had somebody who was kind enough. We gave she was given a role, and in return, she cooked for us.
She did.
And it was great. It was in the other cabin. But at the cabin that we shot at, we had Crafty all the time. They would go to Costco once every couple days to get like
new stuff,
fruit snacks and fruit by the foot and muffins.
Other fruit-like substances that are not actual fruit.
With 2% fruit juice. So yes.
Salad sticks. No salad included.
Fruitables. No fruit included. So you got to remember that that's one thing that unless you work out a deal, and some places do where they, publicize the restaurant or something like that, and they get the Crafty for free. No matter if you get everything else for free, you're probably gonna have to pay for food, and you should.
Yeah,
you should. And that could go up in the thousands too. So let's make it easy. We're at 3,000. We're at 23,000 for the equipment and the locations. Let's throw another 2,000 in there for food. For a 4-week shoot. Let's throw 2,000.
Oh man, that's not even enough.
That's not even enough. Oh, with Crafty. All right, let's throw another 4,000. How's that?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're at 27,000. And then now you got to figure this. Now you got your equipment, locations, you got your food, you got your Crafty, wardrobe and props.
Wardrobe and props. Now, this is one of those things that I think a lot of people, particularly wardrobe, just assume that you're going to use like the
I was just going to say that. You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah, just assume that they're going to use like the actors' clothes.
Yeah,
like just bring your own stuff.
Bring like 6 outfits. We'll pick it on the day of.
I know. Oh man, not only is that the worst, like laziest kind of idea when it comes to being a director, but what happens then if you're doing a scene with just like tons of blood, and now it's like, oh, do you mind if I put this goop all over you and your clothes? Oh, that's a $700 suit you brought? Oh, I need you to get on your hands and knees and crawl through this attic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
they're not going to do it.
So there's a bunch of different places to go. I mean, for costumes and props. I mean,
Goodwill,
St. Vinny's.
Yeah, St. Vinny's in L.A. In Minnesota, maybe the Midwest, they have a store called Ragstock that has multiple locations. Goodwill, Savers. There's tons of places to go get cheap stuff that you can actually like. Because a lot of times, guess what? They're actors. They're not going to act. Their characters aren't going to be exactly who they are in real life. So what they like to wear doesn't necessarily mean the character's going to like to wear that. And when you're talking about
costume continuity.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave that in the hands of like the actors remembering to bring certain things and then also keeping it in good
holding
condition.
on to their personal clothes for the entire shoot. Oh, man.
Not a good idea.
And it also goes to jump onto the props thing, art direction. Now, a lot of people seem to think that they can just go to a location and since it's cheap, they'll just use it as is. Lighting, in my opinion, lighting and art direction / props are two of the things that if they're done poorly or cheaply, give away the entire movie. Like just like if you are like, I'm at a police station and it is literally an office building. And I mean, there are ways to cheat it and you have to be smart. And that's why, no budget filmmaking takes a lot of smarts and outwitting.
Being creative
being
and like
super creative.
Problem solving.
But you can't skimp on
production design, when you look at movies and you're like, oh man, that looks so good. I feel like a lot of people just automatically think it's like the lighting or the camera.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it really is the production design. Like one of my favorite movies, just visually, is I Saw the Devil. Oh, great movie.
Love that movie. It's so twisted. I love it.
Check it out if you haven't seen it. But it's like these Korean horror movies, they have such cool production design. Yeah. And it's highlighted by really good lighting and cinematography and great wardrobe and stuff. So it all works together. But if you have like kind of poor, like you show up to a location and just use it as is, it might be okay.
Yeah.
In some scenarios, but a lot of times it's not. Like you need to rearrange things or like bring in stuff or it's like, oh man, it just looks really bare because
that's one thing. Yeah. It looks really bare.
Yeah.
Like an apartment that doesn't look lived in or, an office that has no desks or something like that. Like,
yeah. And then walk into any of your friends' apartments and you'll notice that like 90% of them just are like white boxes. But if you look in movies, most locations don't have white walls at all.
No.
They have wallpaper, they have wood, they have brick, they have all this stuff. And that's on purpose and not necessarily the way the house was that when they got there. A lot of times they paint it. A lot of times they put up wallpaper. Yeah. And these are things that just take it to the next level that you need to think about and, maybe do on your no-budget project to make it a little bit better.
I mean, everyone says that films are heightened reality. So even though all your friends have like a white-walled apartment and they really don't have an interior decorator on payroll, like some of us. I call her wife. That's not true in movies, unless it's an integral part of the character, like they are poor or they moved out or they're like squatting somewhere. It takes away if it doesn't look lived in.
Yep. Man, all those squatter movies.
I'm sorry, the dog.
That's like a whole subgenre of movie.
Yeah, the dog just farted, and I don't have a fan on it.
Oh, nice.
It's got to come your way.
Nice.
Oh, damn it, Hunter. Oh, God.
Yes, sicko.
And he's sleeping right underneath me, and he's just like, I know what he did. I know what I did.
Letting them roll.
Chew on that. All right, sidetrack.
And then, okay, let's talk about props, too. In one of the films, we had prop weapons. And
God, those things were pain in the asses.
They were, and they obviously were not meant to be props. They were toys, and airsoft type things.
They had they
were plastic mostly.
Yeah, and they had the orange tip so that people would know they were toys.
Sure. We used these shotguns that we had 2 of them, I think. And
didn't we have like 3 and then one just completely broke and we had to fix?
We had 3. All of them broke.
Oh yeah.
We were I had to like sit there and try to put them together.
You were on shotgun duty,
man, and it was bad. I mean, every day I had to go back and like re-glue and like try to just make these things stick together in the form of shotgun.
Yeah,
but
in the form of shotgun.
That's another thing. I feel like people, when it comes to like crucial props, they won't buy extras.
Yeah,
I think if it's something that's like really important, is in many scenes, you might want to buy another one or 2 just in case something happens to that one.
And that being said, that is one thing, like if a prop is crucial, that's something you can't go to a secondhand store or something because you need the exact one.
Right.
We made the miniatures. We had a plane that was now granted I'm not going to put all the blame on us on this one because I rarely do. And you know what? We're free from blame. But we made a plane miniature that we were going to use forced perspective, and it had blown up and crash landed and all that. And we put damage on it, and it looked great.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and they never told us this before. They're like, hey, we need the other one that is not damaged. And we're like, what?
Excuse me?
Huh?
Pardon?
¿Por qué? And so we had to go find the exact same model airplane, the exact same brand, and build a second one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this dog. Okay.
You can't see it because it's a podcast, but Trevor's eyeballs are melting.
This is
and
so
his nostrils are on fire.
Bad.
Luckily, I lost my sense of smell years ago.
Ever since you got married. Okay, and so so we got wardrobe and props. We want to add. We want to go make it an even. What did we go to? We added $4,000. So we want to add $3,000. So we're up to $30,000.
Maybe. I mean, that could be high. It depends on the movie, because if you're making a horror film or if you're making like a drama, you probably will have different requirements.
But I was going a little low on the crafty and food. So let's just make it a nice even 30.
Okay, 30.
Now here's the thing that a lot of no budget filmmakers make mistakes at, and that is saving money for post production.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like $30,000. That's what I have. Boom, and they spend it on equipment, locations, crafty, paying certain crew members that they need to pay,
wardrobe and props,
and then they're like, "I got it,
nailed it. Let's get this movie going."
And then they come to the end and they're like, "Oh crap, I ran out of money. I spent everything."
Yeah, I would say if you are crafty enough to get most of your crew and equipment for free, you're still going to want to pay people in post because that's where it matters the most, especially if you want to distribute it.
Definitely. And especially, I mean, you can't be an expert on everything.
Exactly.
So I would imagine you're probably not an expert sound mixer. And
Foley artist,
ADR recordist.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys got to think of this, like, if you can do all this, awesome, and it's going to save you a ton of money. But ADR, sound mixing, Foley, colorist,
dialogue editing,
editor, if you're not an editor, marketing,
VFX.
These are all things you have to pay for after you say cut for the last time on set.
Yeah.
And not only that, but say it's all edited together and then you realize you need some pickups.
Oh, man.
Gotta rent the equipment. Gotta get the people back. Gotta pay, if you paid actors, gotta pay them for another day. You gotta do
the
that.
Locations again.
Yeah.
Gotta get the permits again if you're doing that.
Yeah. And so post-production costs will sneak up on you. And then you're in the movie, you're done with the movie. You're excited. You got 30,000 into it that you got from your mother's. Oh my God, he did it again. Mother's brothers. That means he's your uncle, business partner. And it sucks to be like, okay, I asked for 30,000 and he really can't wait to see the film, but I still need 15,000 to finish it.
Yep.
And that, I would say, on a no budget film, that 15,000 to finish, if let's just say they know a thing or two about post, like they don't need an editor, but they need sound mixing, colorist.
You could easily spend 15,000 just on the sound.
Yeah, yeah. So let's be generous and say 20,000 extra for post work.
Yeah, that's pretty. I almost would say like just double it. It's like make it 60 total. 30 production, 30
okay,
post.
Let's go 30. So now you're sitting at 60,000 for this no budget film.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get into Alex's like sneaky distribution costs. So you have $60,000. You have your movie. It's time for it to make money. Guess what? You got to spend more money for it to get you.
You do, and also this goes back to. I mean, this happened to us on a film where we hired a post sound designer to do stuff. He did it, so we thought, correctly. We get to the distribution phase. Oh. They run it through their QC and quality it's like, oh man, wait a second. This isn't done properly. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh wait, the sound designer wasn't the person who's supposed to like mix it all together and make sure that it's mixed right.
And make sure the levels are good. And
he just put in this. He just like put in the sound effects and all that stuff, and didn't do anything else.
Equalize it. Didn't do anything.
Left like some spaces where there was no sound design whatsoever.
And that's one of those things that you'll notice. Like I notice it when somebody sets a glass down and it doesn't make this sound. Like, or, you notice that stuff.
Or the clothes rustling, I think, is a big one that he didn't include. And I think our poor writer-director ended up having to do it himself because he literally was like, I cannot go back for more money.
Exactly.
Because I already did for the rest of the post stuff.
Yep.
Now we're into distribution. And he's like, there's no way I can go back for more money, so I have to do this myself.
Yep.
And it took time. You trade off time. A lot of
gray hairs.
You trade off time for money, so it's like.
Are you jumping ahead?
Yeah, I'm jumping
ahead. Look at you. You're so crafty. Wrap it all together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the trade-off. It's like, you can get it done faster with a professional by paying them a lot, or you can spend a lot of time trying to futz around and do it yourself. You might have to do it a couple times.
Yep.
Get the gray hairs, like Trevor said.
Yep.
In this case, it worked out, and he was able to do it.
Yeah. But I think you would have rather not.
Sure. You would have rather had it done right the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of stuff comes with experience. And I think, when you're a no-budget filmmaker and you're trying to like juggle so many things, it's like when you do have other people doing things, you hope to be able to just like pass it on to them because you have a dozen other things you're trying to, juggle at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it went kind of unnoticed, and then, came back to bite him in the ass a little bit.
I would say, I would say just for like overages and sneaky distro costs, what the hell? This vodka's getting me all loopy. Bob Costas's, that you're looking at probably another 15,000.
15,000. Could be. Could also not be.
Could also not be. So just to be safe, 75,000?
Yeah.
So now, you're done with your movie and it's going to get out to distro, but it's $75,000 and it's a no budget film.
Yeah.
So
this is exactly how it's not so crazy to think about how a movie shot on an iPhone cost $100,000.
Exactly. Because like 75,000 we're saying is an estimate if you can get some things for free.
That's not including paying anyone.
Yeah.
You paid 0 people with that.
Yeah. 0 cast and crew.
Yeah.
You just paid them in food.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you can, like Alex said, you can see how $100,000 for a movie shot on an iPhone is no longer that crazy. Yeah. And is still considered no budget.
Mm-hmm.
So now we talk about the non-monetary things that'll cost you.
Yep.
For doing no budget film. We had talked about, I would say our best example is The Daughter that we produced.
Yes.
The things you can't pay for, you have to do yourself, and that just equals time. So the writer-director was forced to do this QC stuff and coloring on his own and learn it. He didn't know how to do it, but out of necessity, because he didn't have any money left, he had to do it on his own.
Yeah.
And that just took so much time while he was working the job because he had to pay back the credit cards that he put the movie on.
Yeah. Plus, after the movie was shot, had to do the VFX, which I'm not an expert VFX artist, so it took me a while. Also, while I was trying to do other things, working at jobs.
Yep.
And so, again, it was extra time. Had it been a real visual effects artist, it would have been better.
Yeah.
Taken less time.
You're good. Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
You're tall. That's why you don't sell yourself short.
Yep. Tall drink of water.
Which everyone thinks is weird when I say you're a tall drink of water. Maybe that's more reserved for a wife or a girlfriend to say to a guy, but
is it?
Yeah, we're gonna go from there. And then also, if you're doing no budget and you're trying to get your locations or your equipment for free, time really plays an important factor in that you may have to spread your shoot over multiple weeks or months.
Yeah.
At least days. Somebody
or come back again. Like, for example, we did that. We shot a few weeks and then
recouped.
We took a break. We were planning on finishing the shoot in that amount of time.
Yep.
but quickly realized, oh man, we're incrementally getting off schedule, and by the end of it, we had another week to do that we came back a few months later and did.
And luckily, it was a smaller crew shoot.
Smaller crew, only a few cast members.
Yep. In fact, this is a thing. I think we've told this story before. We had one of the cast members had to put a wig on to be one of the ladies who couldn't be there.
Yes.
And that's just because of time. And then you have to realize that if you're not paying people, you may not have the most experienced people. They may be in roles that are a step above what they're used to getting paid for. So your shoots may take a little longer. I want to get through 2 to 3 pages a day may boil down to 1.5 to
definitely.
1 because
especially on complicated things.
Yeah.
And I think being maybe a less experienced director, it'd be easier to get sidetracked by issues that arise and people saying, well, should we do it this way? And then you're like,
that is huge.
Let me think about that.
That was a film school problem where everyone wanted to be a director.
Yep.
And also people that aren't getting paid will want to give their opinion so they feel they have more invested in the movie.
Right.
So if you have people say, you have somebody who's used to being a DIT is now being first AC.
Yep.
That's great. I have no problem with that, but just understand it's going to take them a little bit longer to do things the first week, maybe.
Yeah.
Until they get the hang of it. I remember when I was on the short that we shot, I was fresh out of college, and I had tasks on being a director. Never had AD'd before, but I was first AD. First 5 days on the shoot, I would say I was not keeping people to task because I wasn't sure of myself. I wasn't keeping people on task, which the AD is like to keep things on schedule. Keep moving. What's going on with this? What's going on with that? Wasn't doing it as well as I should have.
Yeah.
And we suffered, and I felt bad.
Man, that's tough though. It's one of those things if you haven't done it before, you don't realize how difficult things are.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happened to me after shooting something. I was asked to first AD a project.
Yeah.
By actually the makeup artist of one of the features we did.
Yeah.
Asked me to first AD this random short, and being sort of a go-getter, I was like, yeah, I've never done that before, but I'll give it a try. I like to meet
Gotta
people.
do it, yeah. Try new roles.
Man, disaster. Disaster. Because I'm so not that person. I'm not, that's just not my personality type to be like on people's back, like pushing them towards.
And that's what was hard for me as an AD is like, I'm not one to be like, especially when I'm a director, I'm like, I just want to have a loose atmosphere and, get things done.
Yeah. But no, you got to be like, okay,
you got to be like,
you got one more. And if it takes over 60 seconds to do, I'm cutting the camera myself.
Yeah. And I will move this along. And you know what? This scene is cut. I don't care if it's pivotal and somebody dies.
Yeah.
It's cut.
It's out of here.
And you know what? That's why some people are just ADs for the rest of their career because that's what they're great at.
Yeah. If you find a super solid first AD, hang on to that person.
They are lifesavers, and they will make or break your project. And so you're also got to realize that time and money go together because if you're doing this for free, people have jobs that they have to pay bills.
Yeah,
and
so they're losing money.
They're losing money, and they're gonna if they don't get their food and they're losing money, they're gonna kill you.
They're real mad.
They're real mad. Real mad.
Yeah, no, it sucks. I mean, even as one of the key creative people or like the person whose passion project it is, it still sucks when you're spending tons of probably your own money
and not making money,
family members' money, and you're losing out on money that you would normally be making.
Exactly.
It's just like extra pressure, extra stuff to consider.
I mean, I was lucky that when I did the daughter, I was at a job where I got vacation time. So, but at the same time, I'm still losing money because I can't go on vacation to a fun place. I'm shooting a movie.
Yeah.
Granted, I had a blast on it. I learned a lot. I'm not saying it wasn't fun. It was stressful, but it was fun. But
you can't go on a vacation with your then girlfriend.
Yeah, my then girlfriend. And I can't go, see my family in Minnesota, which I did every year, but I had to take a break off that. So it's a trade-off, and it sucks.
Yep.
But you just got to keep that in mind, and that's why you got to keep people happy the best way you can with the amount of money you have, because you never know. People will sacrifice for no budget. Everyone will, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, finally, the cost comes down to also pulling favors from your friends.
Yep, pulling favors. And that's another type of currency. It's like, man, there's only so much of that to go around.
Exactly.
And so you got to make sure you're doing it at the right time. You're going to ask. You don't want to be the person that asks for favors every few months.
I will give a piece of advice. I think Alex will agree. Actually, I'll give my piece of advice in the sense of asking Alex. Do you think it's easier to pull favors from friends when you're fresh out of college in your 20s than it is when you're 30, 35?
100%.
Yeah.
I think when you're fresh out of college, you're used to doing favors because the entire filmmaking process in college is essentially favors. You know? Like, even if you're doing it for a class, it's still, like, I worked on classmates' projects. I wasn't in their class, but I worked on it. I did it for my own experience and as a favor in some cases.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're used to that mentality coming out of film school. If you get on a project and they're like, hey, we want to do this, you're still like learning and you're like, yeah, I want to do this for the experience.
And that's it. Yeah.
But if you are 10, 15 years out of college and all your friends are too, and you're like, hey, I know you have a full-time job doing this other thing. Will you take time off from that job to do my thing?
Yeah.
It's very difficult. And so I think what you end up doing is not necessarily asking people for favors directly, but you say, hey, guys, you basically use their network and say, hey, I need a first AD. Do you know anyone? So then you're not asking people to do it themselves necessarily. You're saying, do you know anyone who's interested and in that place in their life where they want to do this? And so that's kind of what the favor becomes as you get older, I think.
No, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think I couldn't agree more. It's when you're fresh out of college, you look at it as you're being paid in experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
And now for like at our age, we're over the hill, we're at the twilight of our years.
Yep.
It's kind of like one of those things that was like, well, no, I need to make money especially because out of college, everyone assumes you're poor. And so you don't have as many bills. But it's like, it's one of those things where, at like 35, I'm like, well, it also comes down to when this just came to me, when you're 22 or something like that, you just want to take in the experience. But at 35, I think personally for us, because we have, consistent gigs, our free time is going to want to work on our passion projects.
There's definitely that.
And it's not so much that we don't want to work in it. But it's one of those things where it's like, well, I know it's your passion project, but I have other things I need to work on to further my career. Because now it's getting into career time, not just like I'm learning. I am getting, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's less excitement, like you said, because everyone, well, at least our friends, when you go to film school, everyone wants to be like the director, the producer, the DP or whatever. They want the key roles, So asking friends to fill roles that they're A, not used to, B, that they don't really want to do is tough. I mean, it's not really going to happen. I feel like that's why you got to ask people for favors to, utilize their network or whatever. And I think you have to deal with the fact that people are going to be less motivated on set.
Super.
If you get them to set, they're going to be less motivated because, and your job as the director will then not only include directing the project, but also being like a cheerleader and trying to get people excited constantly about what you're doing so they don't drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the term passion project becomes more and more annoying as you get to like an older age. It's just kind of like you know what? I think you're saying passion project, but what you mean is
free for me project.
Free for me project. Yeah. And it is one of those things where you spend most of your time like we talk about food makes them happy. That don't even do it at that age, this age.
Man.
Like that don't even do it. Like I won't. If somebody says, "Hey, man, I want you to work on this project," granted, if I'm not doing anything, or if it's a super close friend, or it's a 1-day shoot and it's kind of a cool thing that I'm working on, yeah, I'll do it.
Right.
But like, I'm to the stage where if I'm not invested in it or whatever, and you say, "Yeah, well, I'll get you food," I'll be like, I'm gonna go buy my own food and relax, like because I
have limited time to myself. I just want to be by myself. Yeah, but also
just leave me alone. You can take my wife and have her do it, I can just be alone.
Please, please, she doesn't know anything. Take her though.
Yes.
No, I think the word passion project should be reserved for very specific projects that really are passion projects, because I think if you're like a filmmaker, technically you should be passionate about every project you do.
That's true.
So every project in a sense is a passion project. But to me, like calling it out that way and calling upon your friends and other people to like shell out favors.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, I don't know. You could be a jerk if you constantly say that every project is a passion project.
Yep. I totally agree. I think, you could rate a timeline of like what passion project should mean at each stage of life. Out of college, passion project is, hey, I really believe in this. I want you to work on it for free.
It's like a stepping stone project for all of us.
And if I get going, then that means I'm going to bring you with me.
Exactly.
35, passion project means, you know what? I'm going to pay you. It may not be your normal rate, but I'm going to pay you.
Yeah.
And then at like 40 and above, passion project means, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay you your rate, but I may work you a little bit harder than I normally do because I really believe in this project.
Yeah.
And so,
and to me, you have to really, really, it's like, this is the project, right? That's going to change everything.
Yeah.
Like it has to be that.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just making a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not anything special.
Project. Yeah.
Like what are you talking about?
Like the passion project has to be like, hey, like I keep bringing this example up because I think it's a perfect example. Zathura, which was Jon Favreau's movie. It was like a loose sequel to Jumanji.
Yeah, in space.
It was his first, exactly. Bah, 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 everything in space. It was his like test to see if he could handle a VFX movie before they gave him Iron Man.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, guys, my passion project. If I get good on this, I'm going to get a Marvel movie.
And guys, listen, I need some real VFX here, and it needs to be like rock solid. And if I get this, I'm going to get Iron Man, and you will be doing the VFX on Iron Man.
And you have to, if it's a passion project, you need to promise everyone that they're coming to you with you at the next level.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things is like anyone can say that, right? Like, oh, guys, no, this is going to be real great. Yeah. We're going to do this, this, and this, and you can easily like overpromise things.
Yep.
But the key is to do it with integrity and not promise things that aren't real. You know? Like if you're saying like if you have a deal from someone who is like, you know what, I really like your script. I don't think I want you to write it or I want you to direct it because you haven't directed anything. Yeah. But if you can show me something that can prove that you can handle this, we'll be into it. Then you could be like, okay, guys, this is a passion project. Yeah. I got to make this thing. It's got to be awesome because it's going to lead to this other thing that is real. And if it happens, I'm more than happy to take you guys with me because you guys did such a good job on this thing. That's like a real promise versus like, guys, I'm going to make this thing. Guess what? It's going to get into Sundance. It's going to do all this stuff. Guess what? It's going to make $100 million. Like, no, it's not, guys. It's not.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason you see so many directors use the same actors is one, the actor has to be good first. Two, the director and actor have to have a good connection. But at some point, what happens is that these directors are using these actors when they're starting out, and this actor was like giving them good stuff, was able to do it at a lower rate, and they're like, you know what? Thank you, and I know you're a good actor, so let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an ongoing joke now if you read the papers of the industry. Like, I'll give you an example. Ryan Coogler is going to be producing the next Space Jam movie, starring LeBron. And so the whole joke going around is like, oh, so Michael B. Jordan's going to be in it.
Yeah, of course he is.
And it's a joke, but it's probably going to be true. And why? Because one, Michael B. Jordan's a great actor. Two,
amazing.
Michael B. Jordan basically killed it in Ryan Coogler's directorial debut.
Yeah,
so why do you not keep thanking that guy?
And it's like they kind of came up together. You know?
Exactly.
They killed it. They both killed it. He made a great movie.
Yeah.
He acted, very well. And then they kind of blew up together.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, why wouldn't you stick with those people?
That's the epitome of, hey, this is my passion project. This is my big chance.
Yeah.
And if you help me out here, then we're gonna go at this together. Yeah. Ryan Coogler was like, I got a chance to direct a movie produced by Forrest Whitaker. If I kill this, then guess what? I'm going to direct a Marvel movie and kill it and make it one of the highest grossing Marvel movies of all time.
Yeah.
And the sequel to Rocky. And if you do this with me, I'm going to make you Creed, and I'm going to make you make you Killmonger in Black Panther. I'm going to put you in everything I ever do and jumpstart your career. And so that is where the passion project and the favors really pay off. Don't do this passion project where, I'm going to do a short and I want you to act in it for free.
And that's also why you got to really, know what let people know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big part of it. Don't lie.
I was just going to say that there are so many liars in this industry. So many people who are trying to puff themselves up and make them seem much more important.
Because there is an element of this industry that is like fake it till you make it, even at like higher levels.
Yeah.
But I think, man, it's really discouraging when it happens to you, when you're like, oh man, this guy sold me a bill of goods.
Yeah.
And I just put 3 months into this project and it's going nowhere. Or, on the other end, if you say it so much that you start to convince yourself that these things are true and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why just be honest. Be one of the good guys in the industry. One that is honest with people and
have some integrity.
And it will help you out in the favors department. Yep. Man, we just went crazy on that.
Yeah, we went on some rants there.
We did. But now it's on to everyone's favorite section. Yeah. And when I say everyone, I mean the people in Sweden love this.
Yeah, they do.
They super love this. They told me.
Yep.
But
there was a button they pressed, and I think they all pressed it.
They all pressed it. So this is what's cool, and this one's gonna blow up because IBC is happening in Amsterdam. It's kind of like the CSS. CES.
Yeah.
Of the on a global scale and all that. So a lot of things were announced recently. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of equipment, a lot of programs. So what do you start us off, Alex?
We're just scratching the surface.
Well, we are. So search on the web. So type in IBC 2018. You'll see a lot of cool stuff that's coming out.
Okay, so the first one,
CSS in the US.
Yes,
Sorry,
like HTML in. Oh wait,
I'm used to drinking 6 beers during these podcasts, and I drank 1 whiskey. Oh man.
Yep.
Whiskey. Yeah, see, I even said whiskey even though it was vodka. Go ahead.
Get out of here.
Whatever. I'm going to sleep here with my dog. All right, go ahead.
First thing, GoPro Hero 7 Black.
Oh, yeah.
Which, GoPro's been in some trouble.
Why you got to bring that up?
Just financially.
Why you got to bring that up?
It's so I think, they're hoping that this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And they put a lot into it, I'm sure, to try to save it a little bit.
Yeah.
So they added this thing called Hyper Smooth, which is a feature that they say will allow 4K 60p video without a gimbal that is like gimbal-like, super smooth as it were.
I wonder if this is kind of like, now I haven't seen the footage, I haven't read about it. I wonder if this is kind of like they're shooting in 4.3K and then they use kind of like the Adobe warp stabilizer,
like built-in kind
of thing.
Maybe they say that it'll work in underwater.
Okay.
It works in high shock and wind situations.
Okay.
And could be like one of the craziest sort of advancements in image stabilization ever up to this date.
Who says that? That's what
GoPro says about themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that them tooting their own horn?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably something like a warp stabilization built in, and they're shooting a little bit higher resolution and then cropping it down.
I imagine you're probably right. But it could also be, some cameras like, what is it? The GH5 has a floating sensor.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if that's small, if they could do that. But
yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to check it out.
Yep.
As always, you can find these show notes and links to it, and you can check out for yourself. I've got the SmallHD Focus OLED. OLED is kind of like the crisp new monitors that monitor technology. They also use it in TVs.
Yeah.
It's got SDI, which is kind of newer for SmallHD. They were kind of the budget HDMI. And it's also,
I mean, they have a lot. Yeah. Nowadays, they started out as like the budget. Thing.
That's true. Now they got the big ones, the super tough,
the big ones, and they got like the really expensive ones.
And then this one also has a touchscreen, nice. And all that. It's got, it's $800, which is great. It is only an HD display. It's not a 4K display. It's got a crazy contrast ratio, 60,000 to 1.
Wow.
And it supports 3G SDI.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I think, SDI is always better in my opinion than HDMI in terms of like, being reliable and not like popping out or breaking.
I was gonna say, the locking twist lock on the SDI, I love much more than HDI.
So, what I do like
HDI?
though in a monitor,
yeah, you are HDMI, yeah.
What I do like though in a monitor is the ability to input one, output the other, just to have it be extra versatile, where it's like, oh, I'm shooting on a DSLR that has HDMI.
Yeah.
I'm going to put HDMI in and then send it out to another monitor or something through SDI.
Yeah.
I just like having that option.
Yeah, like your Cineroid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this doesn't have that option, which is fine. I feel like it's more purpose driven. You need, it's kind of like a
field monitor.
We have a specific camera that we're using this for. It's not like a monitor that we're taking out on gigs.
Yeah.
And, taking whatever life gives us.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's that. But it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Does it say the price?
$800, and I don't know if that is for, I think that might be for the HDMI version. The SDI version will be a little bit more expensive. I don't think they've released the price for that.
That's not bad, though.
No, that's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
A little 5-inch monitor with OLED. Love it.
Yeah, don't hate that.
Yep. So
the next one I got is the Teradek RT line of accessories for cameras. So they have the ACI, which is the assistant camera interface.
Who's drunk now?
Which controls RED cameras, for an assistant camera operator. And they have new wireless focus and lens control systems, which is really cool.
Is this their first foray into like camera, like follow focus and stuff like that?
I believe so, because as you may or may not know, Teradek is known for their wireless video transmitting devices. So I think this is their first attempt at like a follow focus, and it looks really nice. It looks very professional.
Yeah.
We have the Red Rock Micro follow focus system, and it's cool. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think it would leave a lot to be desired in terms of professional features. So like just looking at the photos even from the Teradek, it has rings that would align with your lens focus marks. So, it has like 4 feet, 6 feet, whatever.
You don't have to mark it up.
Yeah, so
like we do it for the
you
Red
can
Rock.
like swap out these rings and just, nail it.
Yeah. And I mean, a company that is known for its wireless technology, you'd think it'd be pretty intuitive and pretty responsive in the terms of the wireless follow focus.
You would think so, but
you'd hope so.
Man, I mean, wireless stuff always is. It's tough, questionable.
Man.
It's a big questionable.
It's so tough.
Issue.
Especially because it uses a 2.4 gigahertz wireless radio, which is a lot of crowded frequencies. That's Wi-Fi.
Yep. And that's why, I mean, I've been on shoots where they've had these things go into like 5 operators, and they've had a tree of wireless receivers and stuff go into a video village, and man, it's like every take, one of them is failing, and they have to restart and stuff. But
I do like, not that we'd ever use it, I do like the 5,000 foot wireless range though. That's pretty solid. But not that we'd ever use it, but yeah.
Hey, who knows?
Speaking of 2.4 gigahertz band, the Diety wireless mic system. So the Diety is like kind of a new, I wouldn't say a new company, but they're wireless. They used to just strictly make microphones, like budget microphones.
Nice.
And they had a relationship with Aperture, which we know very well.
Yes.
But now they've released their own kind of wireless lav system. It's called the Diety.
Interesting.
It's kind of one of those things where like the price point is great, but it comes with some caveats.
Okay.
So it is 2.4 gigahertz, which is extremely for wireless audio is extremely busy.
Sketchy.
Very, very sketchy. Wi-Fi, it's a Wi-Fi band. The reason they did that 2.4 is if you are 2.4 gigahertz band, you don't have to get a license to do it, which is why it's so crowded because companies can come out with 2.4 without having to go to the FCC and get approval, get a license, which is expensive and time consuming.
Sure.
It does have an adaptive frequency hopping feature.
That's nice.
Where it jumps between 9 frequencies, whatever's one's the cleanest, which is helpful. The one thing I don't like is it has an internal battery.
Really?
That you can't pop out. Yeah. Can't pop out.
That's a terrible idea. Why do they do that?
I think they're trying to keep it cheap.
But it is a 10-hour internal battery.
It is a 10-hour internal battery. That's great. Okay, but see, here's the thing. Now, I don't know, and I can't tell for sure, say you forget to charge it or something like that. The problem is that if you're on set and you have an hour left and you go 2 hours and it dies, you're screwed.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I mean, not to say that most people will, a day after they won't start charging everything that's chargeable. But you could forget.
I wonder, so it charges through USB-C, quick charging, it says. I wonder how quick.
That's
and
true.
Also, I wonder if you can operate it while it's charging. So if you have like a little battery.
USB pack?
Yeah, USB pack. I wonder if that would work.
I don't know, maybe.
As like a emergency backup scenario. Because 10 hours is nothing to like scoff at.
No. I mean, if
you're using AA's, man, you got to change out batteries.
Something like Electrosonic eats through batteries.
Yeah.
Eats through batteries. Now, that being said, the shortcomings of it are kind of counteracted with the $800 price tag. And this is what you get for $800. 2 transmitters.
2 transmitters?
Yeah. A receiver that will receive both transmitters.
Really?
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Both transmitters will go to one receiver and 2 lav mics for $800.
Not bad.
So it's one of those things where you could probably get for the price of one set of not even one set of Electrosonics. Like
half
the price of Electrosonics or a Zacom.
Maybe one.
You could get 4
like Sennheiser G3 or something.
You could get 4 transmitters, 2 receivers, and 4 lavs. So if you're only having 2 actors, you have the other ones charging. Yeah. I mean, so it's not bad.
That is not bad, and it looks like I feel like they're targeting sort of like a web, like a YouTuber type idea, or like you're not necessarily using these to shoot a feature or anything.
That's true.
And I think for that, at that price point, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And again, I think the 10-hour battery on that, in that sort of like realm of work, that's pretty good. Like you don't necessarily, you don't shoot 10 hours straight a lot in like the web world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it is backed, Diety is backed by some well-known audio guys in the industry. So I would think that they've kind of thought it out. It kind of depends, like if they had to restrain some features because they wanted to keep it at a cheap price point. But it's a good alternative. I mean, if you can get 2 transmitters for $800 with a receiver and 2 lav mics.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out.
Yeah.
And try to break it.
Yeah.
Not try to break it physically, but see where it breaks.
Yeah, see where the limits are. See if you can, power it from an external battery pack.
Yeah, see if you can like put yourself in a situation where it has tons of distortion and noise and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's it's kind of funny because with the FCC kind of taking away some bans for like Electrosonics and all that, it's almost like maybe you just give it a chance at 2.4 and see, especially if it has auto scanning.
The stuff that you buy won't become like a big brick.
Yeah.
In a year.
Exactly. So what else you got?
All right. The next thing I got is cinema grade.
Oh. Ooh, what is that?
CinemaGrade is a new plugin for Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, and I think DaVinci Resolve.
I think it is too, yeah.
And it's very interesting. It's made by Denver Riddle, which, if you guys don't know Denver, he is the guy behind Color Grading Central. He does a lot of like DaVinci Resolve and other kind of color grading courses.
Toots.
And he had another product in the past called Color Finale, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of Color Finale.
So this is really interesting because it's the first plugin that allows you to do basically like direct dragging color corrections on the image. So basically you click on the color that you want to adjust.
Yeah.
And you drag up and down, side to side or whatever.
Like the eyedropper tool from Photoshop.
Basically, yeah, you would click, let's say you have like a red shirt and you wanted to change the hue of it to like a blue. Mm-hmm. You would click on it, drag up until it reaches the blue that you want. I mean, it's going to change every color in the scene that is that shot.
Mask it.
Yeah.
Mask the shirt.
Exactly.
But that is really cool. That is really cool.
So it's a little bit more visual, a little bit easier in terms of like, I don't know, maybe it could be quicker depending on how skilled you are with certain interfaces or like tools. But
I think as computers are getting more and more powerful, you're going to see a lot more like real-time adjustment tools like this, where you can see it like adjust in real time and it can analyze it and kind of like give you a little more freedom, unlike like the color grading that was in the past.
Yeah. And I think for people who are, again, less experienced, it might be a really good way to get the look that you want without having to like dig into new software and learn, become an expert. If you can just sort of like say, oh, this color is too saturated. I want to desaturate this color, and then you can just do that by dragging. Yeah,
it's one of those things where if people don't know the technical aspects of what this color is or what the hue is or all that, they can just. It's the old adage of what you see is what you get kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a WYSIWYG color grader.
WYSIWYG, new phrase. So I got one more left. I don't know about you, but I don't know if we've talked about this yet. Blackmagic Raw.
Blackmagic Raw?
Yeah, Blackmagic came out with their own RAW technology.
Oh, interesting.
So now
I thought they already had it.
No, they just.
What were they using before?
They weren't using. I'm not sure, but they and it was. Speaking of IBC, it was awarded the Technological Innovation Award at IBC.
Interesting.
So they have their own RAW format now, and it kind of is one of those things to compete with all the other RAW formats out there because Blackmagic used to be hardware only, and now they're getting into cameras. And so,
weird.
I think it was what Blackmagic Raw was in response to ProRes RAW, which was like the big thing that Apple announced.
Right.
Because ProRes RAW is only compatible with Macs and only available on a small amount of recorders. I think it's only actually available. ProRes RAW is only available on the Adamus.
The Adamus stuff.
Yeah, and there's only I think 2 settings, and it only works with Final Cut Pro. And as Adobe guys. Hey, I don't want that. So now Blackmagic came out with their own compressed RAW format.
Okay. And so they're saying it's the world's fastest RAW codec.
Yeah.
That's what they're claiming.
And it's also compressed, so it's not as big, and they just want to take on ProRes.
That's very interesting.
ProRes RAW. So,
very interesting.
And what I also really like about the Blackmagic RAW is that they implemented it camera level. So you don't need an external recorder to record Blackmagic RAW. Because right now, ProRes RAW is only recordable on recorders and a limited amount of recorders.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, did DNX HD from Avid, was that kind of given away to everyone so they could kind of counteract ProRes?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was given away. It wasn't,
Because so that's what God damn it, Hunter. You did it again. Just got to get through this. Blackmagic is kind of, their RAW format is open, and they're going to give it away to camera manufacturers and as well as software manufacturers like Adobe for free. So, it's like one of those things is like, just give it away for free and more people will implement it, and then you can do things later and charge for it. Like,
exactly.
Apple is just so
annoying
in that they hold on to everything. And it pains me when people are like, I don't need this in ProRes. It's like, no.
Why?
So Blackmagic Raw.
Very interesting.
They're out with it. It's winning awards. People like it.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. So that's my last what's cool. You got anything else?
My last what's cool is Arri Stellar.
Okay. Please
Arri
explain.
Stellar. It's a new application for iOS and Android that lets you link up all of their like LED stuff that they've put out for the past 10 years or whatever. Including like their LC series Fresnels, like the LC7 or the L7C, I mean, L5C.
Yep.
All those Fresnels. Yep. The sky panels.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you have all these different lights, and you can control them via the app independently or separate or together.
And group them, yeah.
Group them. They even have some type of like strange visualizer if you have a bunch of them rigged up on like truss or like in some type of like stage or studio setting.
That's flippin' sweet.
So you can sort of see in physical space where they actually are.
Yeah.
You can operate them in different modes. So if like they have the RGBW mode, they have the gel mode, they have like effects mode.
God.
So you can like change all that stuff in the app and just sort of like,
that's awesome.
Man, because I don't know how reliable it is.
It'll only get better with time.
It'll only get better. But that's pretty cool.
It's one of those things like nobody had it before, so it's only a positive now, and it'll just get better. There'll be some annoying things, I'm sure, but it's like we have the Hive wasps.
Yeah.
And it's great because there's an app that you can group them all together, control them all wirelessly. But the fact that it will control different models of lights is crazy. That is awesome.
Plus, it looks like they have a database of what they call like source matching.
Oh, really?
So if you're like outside and you're like, I need to match this to a sodium vapor streetlight.
Yeah.
They have a little setting. If you have like a bunch of HMIs that you're running as well, it's like, okay, I'm going to match this with HMIs.
Do they have
or whatever? So it's like you can match whatever the sources are that you have around you.
Do they go as detailed as like the brand of HMI that you can match?
I don't think so.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Arri the first to do the gels in their LEDs, the gel presets?
I think they were probably the first to implement it. Yeah.
And now they're doing the matching of like light in different sources and situations. That is cool.
It's cool. I mean, a lot of them have that. I believe their database is probably a little bit more robust.
Oh, I would assume so.
But yeah,
I would hope so.
It looks pretty cool. I'm not hating it. I wish I had all of the lights. All of the lights.
Stop. Don't pull Kanye into this.
Street lights, sky panels. Just look, man, what a great song. If only I could be a musician where all I have to do is list things.
Kanye is the best cinematographer in the world because he just talks about all of the lights. All of the lights.
All of the lights.
Stop. Okay, on that note, what?
Just want to mention that the Stellar app is a paid app with a monthly or yearly subscription.
Oh, shit. Okay. Now we're getting serious.
Yep. So it's either $9.99 a month or $99.99 a year.
Man, everybody's freaking moving to the subscription model.
Crazy.
That is ridiculous.
But hey, if you got them all, you probably got the money for that. If you got a buttload of Arri sky panels and Fresnels to control in your apps, you probably got some dough.
Oh God, if another shoot that I'm getting $5,000 a day at, might as well get the app. Yeah. That's a good problem to have.
Yep.
Well, all right, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. You can get the show notes for this episode by visiting nobudgetfilmmaking.com/episode 23.
And don't forget to hop on over to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. And while you're there, leave us a little note. Give us a 5-star rating and tell us what you think about the show.
We're jonesing for ratings, guys. Come on.
We are.
All the people in Sweden, I know English may not be your first language. You can write it in Swedish. That's fine. I don't care. Just do it. And if you have any filmmaking questions, ask away in the comments section and we will try to answer them.
Also, like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Cinema Summit.
Yeah, if you go on our Instagram page, you will see a beautiful picture of the cute puppers that was visiting us today and just blowing up the studio.
Bombing.
Just carpet bombing and drive by and it was bad. But you can see a picture of him there. So go check that out if you like dogs. Yep.
All right. We'll see you and or talk to you next time.
We'll talk to you next time, guys. Thanks so much. Later.